Let me ask you something right now. How much of your energy, your time, your emotion, your mental space is spent on things that don't actually move your life forward? Be honest with yourself. How many hours do you waste worrying about what people think? How many moments do you lose comparing yourself to someone else's highlight reel? How many days slip away because you're busy doing what's urgent, but not what's important? You see, most people live their lives reacting. They're constantly distracted, scrolling, chasing, doubting, overthinking. They confuse movement with progress. They confuse business with purpose. And then they wonder why they feel drained, unfulfilled, and stuck. The truth is simple. Your life expands when your focus sharpens. You cannot pour energy into everything and expect to feel powerful. You cannot say yes to everyone and expect to have peace. You cannot chase every opportunity and expect to build mastery. Focus is the ultimate force multiplier. It turns your energy into impact, your time into results, and your passion into purpose. When you focus on what really matters, you cut through the noise. You stop living for approval and start living for alignment. You stop asking, what will they think? And start asking, what do I want my life to mean? You stop trying to do everything and start mastering the few things that change everything. Listen, life is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. You have to know your core priorities, your growth, your health, your relationships, your purpose. Those are the roots that sustain everything else. If you water those roots, your life flourishes. But if you ignore them, no amount of hustle will make up for it. People say they don't have time, but that's not true. You have the same 24 hours as the most successful, fulfilled people in the world. The difference is not time, it's focus. They know where their attention goes, their energy flows, and their results grow. They protect their focus like their life depends on it, because it does. You've got to take control of your attention. Stop letting fear, gossip, and distractions hijack your day. Stop living in reaction mode. Decide today that your focus belongs to your future, not your past. Every minute you waste replaying old pain is a minute stolen from your progress. Every second you spend complaining is a second stolen from creating. The world will always try to pull you in 100 directions. People will always have opinions. Life will always test your priorities. But in the end, you are the one who decides what gets your energy. You are the one who decides what's worth fighting for. You are the one who decides what matters. So ask yourself right now, what are the few things, just a few, that truly matter in your life? Who are the people who make you better? What are the dreams that set your soul on fire? What are the habits that move you closer to your best self? That's your focus. Everything else is noise. And when you get crystal clear on what matters most, something powerful happens. You stop settling. You stop chasing things that don't fulfill you. You stop wasting your life proving your worth and start living it. You become unstoppable, not because you do more, but because you do what counts. So today, draw a line in the sand, say it with conviction. From this moment forward, I will only focus on what really matters. My energy is sacred. My time is precious. My focus is power. And I will not waste it on things that don't serve my vision, my purpose, or my peace. Because when you focus on what truly matters, you rise above the noise. You step into clarity. You unlock your power. And that's when everything begins to change. Focus is power. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. Every result in your life is a reflection of where your focus has been. If you've been focusing on problems, you've been attracting more struggle. If you've been focusing on opportunities, you've been creating growth. Life doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you concentrate on with intensity and emotion. Your focus is the steering wheel of your destiny, and most people don't even realize how often they hand that wheel to someone else. They let opinions, fears, doubts, or distractions take over, and then they wonder why they feel lost. The truth is, focus is not something you find, it's something you train. It's a muscle, and the stronger you build it, the faster you move toward your vision. Most people wake up every day and immediately give away their focus. They grab their phone, check notifications, scroll through news or social media, and fill their mind with chaos before they've even taken a breath of gratitude. Then they try to be productive, but their mind is fragmented, pulled in 100 directions, and they can't understand why they feel exhausted without accomplishing anything meaningful. The reason is simple. Whatever you focus on expands. You focus on stress, you create more tension. You focus on gratitude, you find more to be grateful for. You focus on growth, and suddenly ideas, people, and opportunities start appearing that align with your energy. This is not magic, it's psychology, it's energy, it's the law of life. Focus creates meaning. Without focus, even success feels empty. Without focus, effort becomes chaos. But with focus, everything you do compounds. You don't need to do 10 things well. You just need to do the right one thing with total presence. 1 hour of focused, intentional action is worth more than 10 hours of distracted business. When you truly harness your attention, you stop living in reaction mode. You stop chasing everything that looks shiny for a moment and start investing in what builds a legacy. You start thinking long-term, not emotional. You start acting with precision, not confusion. Your mind is like a lens. When it's scattered, everything looks blurry. But when it's focused, it can burn through anything in its way. You have to decide where that lens points. Are you focusing on your potential or on your past? On solutions or on excuses? On your strengths or your limitations? Because whatever you feed your focus to grows stronger in your life. You can't focus on doubt and expect confidence. You can't focus on fear and expect freedom. You can't focus on what's missing and expect abundance. You must choose your focus consciously every single day because the world is designed to steal it from you. Think about it. Your focus determines your feelings, and your feelings determine your actions. If you constantly focus on what's wrong, your emotions follow. You feel heavy, frustrated, anxious, powerless. But the moment you shift your focus toward what you can control, something inside you changes, you reclaim your power. You realize that your energy is not dictated by circumstances, it's dictated by choice. Life isn't about what happens to you, it's about what you choose to focus on in the middle of what happens to you. Focus turns chaos into clarity, pain into purpose, breakdowns into breakthroughs. Every achiever, every leader, every person who has transformed their life started with one decision: to control their focus. They learned to discipline their attention like a laser. When others were distracted by noise, they stayed connected to their vision. When others saw obstacles, they focused on strategy. When others gave up, they locked in on their why. And because of that, they grew beyond what seemed possible. Success doesn't come to the most talented or the most intelligent. It comes to the most focused. If you want to change your life, you don't need to change everything. You just need to change what you focus on. Shift from problems to possibilities. Shift from fear to faith. Shift from what's missing to what's available. Shift from what hurts to what heals. When you do that, your energy changes, your confidence grows, and your reality follows. You start attracting the right people, the right opportunities, the right timing, because you are operating from clarity instead of confusion. The power of focus is that it aligns your inner world with your outer goals. When your mind and your purpose are in harmony, your results accelerate. But make no mistake, focus requires discipline. It's not easy to ignore the noise, to say no to distractions, to stay present when the world constantly screams for your attention. It takes strength to choose long-term fulfillment over short-term stimulation. It takes vision to stay centered when everyone else is chasing trends. Yet, that's what separates those who achieve greatness from those who drift through life. Focus is the art of saying yes to what truly matters and no to everything else. Every no is a declaration of power. Every time you turn away from distraction, you're sharpening your edge. When you focus deeply, you begin to feel alive again. You start noticing how much of your potential was buried under chaos. You realize you have always had the power to create change. You just needed to direct it. The human mind is limitless when focused. You can reinvent yourself, build new habits, start from nothing, and rise higher than anyone thought possible. But only if your focus is aligned with your vision, not your fears. You are not your thoughts, you are the thinker. And when you learn to command your focus, you command your future. Every breakthrough begins with focus. Every transformation starts when you decide that your energy will no longer be wasted on things that drain you. The world doesn't reward the scattered. It rewards the committed. The more focused you become, the more life bends in your favor. Focus is power, and that power is already within you. It's the force that can take you from where you are to where you want to be. The moment you decide to use it intentionally, everything begins to shift in your favor. Cut the noise. Only invest time in what aligns with your purpose. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. Every notification, every headline, every social media post, every conversation vying for your attention is a form of noise. The problem is not that life has become more complex, it's that our focus has become weaker. We allow our attention to be hijacked by things that don't matter, by things that don't serve our growth, and by things that don't move us closer to the life we want. Noise is not just external, it's internal too. It's the endless chatter of doubt, the replaying of past failures, the anxiety about the future, and the unnecessary drama we carry in our minds. When your life is full of noise, clarity becomes impossible. You can't see the path ahead, you can't feel your purpose, and you can't act decisively. Cutting the noise begins with awareness. You have to become conscious of where your attention is going. Ask yourself daily, am I spending my time on what truly matters, Or am I filling my day with distractions that give the illusion of productivity? Most people confuse business with progress. They move frantically from one thing to another, thinking that being busy means they are advancing. But true progress comes from intentional focus, not mindless activity. Every time you engage with something that doesn't align with your purpose, you dilute your energy. Every time you let noise control your mind, you weaken your influence over your life. Noise creates friction in your mind. It makes you reactive instead of proactive. It makes you chase every minor emergency instead of building towards meaningful goals. It makes you feel exhausted, scattered, and unfulfilled. The people who achieve extraordinary results understand the importance of eliminating noise. They know that time and energy are finite resources, and they protect them like a treasure. They don't respond to every call, every message, or every distraction. They choose carefully what they allow into their mental and emotional space. Cutting the noise also means setting boundaries. Boundaries are the line between what is essential and what is trivial. When you set boundaries, you declare to yourself and to the world that your focus is not negotiable. You prioritize your energy for the people, tasks, and opportunities that truly matter. Saying no is not a weakness. It is a superpower. Every no creates space for a yes that has real impact. Every time you refuse to engage with meaningless drama, you reclaim your attention. Every time you stop scrolling, comparing, or worrying about things outside your control, you create space for growth, creativity, and action. Noise is addictive because it is often disguised as urgency. Social media notifications feel important. Email alerts feel critical. Gossip feels necessary, but urgency is not always importance. Most urgent things are designed to pull your attention away from what is meaningful. When you react to urgency, you give away your power. When you focus on importance, you reclaim it. Life doesn't reward the reactive. It rewards the intentional. Those who master their attention master their outcomes. Those who cut the noise step into clarity, purpose, and accelerated progress. Eliminating noise requires courage. It is not easy to disengage from everything that demands your attention. It is uncomfortable to say no when others expect you to say yes. It is risky to ignore the pressure to respond immediately. But the discomfort is temporary, and the rewards are life-changing. When you cut the noise, your mind clears. You begin to hear your intuition, to see opportunities, and to act with confidence. Your energy multiplies because it is no longer scattered. Your decisions become sharper because they are aligned with purpose. Your life begins to flow because you are no longer reacting to external chaos. Focus is amplified when you cut the noise. When distractions are removed, every thought, every action, every resource becomes more powerful. You can concentrate on building skills, nurturing relationships, creating value, and pursuing your vision without being pulled in 100 directions. Every successful person in history, every leader, every innovator, every master of their craft understood this principle. They were relentless in their ability to focus only on what mattered, to ignore what didn't, and to protect their attention with unwavering discipline. Cutting the noise also transforms your emotional state. Noise feeds stress, anxiety, frustration, and overwhelm. When your mind is constantly bombarded with irrelevant information, your nervous system is in a perpetual state of activation. You feel tense, restless, and exhausted. But when you remove the noise, you create mental space, calm, and peace. You allow yourself to think deeply, to create intentionally, and to respond strategically. You gain control over your emotions instead of letting external circumstances dictate them. Every day, the world will try to pull you in multiple directions. People will demand your attention. Situations will compete for your energy. Opportunities will appear tempting but irrelevant. If you allow yourself to be distracted, you will never accomplish what you are capable of. But when you cut the noise, you gain the freedom to pursue what matters most. You gain the clarity to make better decisions. You gain the confidence to move forward with certainty. Your energy becomes magnetic because it is concentrated, not diluted. Cutting the noise also requires intentional habits. You have to design your environment, your routines, and your relationships in ways that support focus. Limit social media, minimize notifications, and create dedicated time for deep work. Surround yourself with people who inspire, challenge, and elevate you rather than drain you. Guard your mornings because the first hours of your day determine the quality of the rest. Create rituals that center your mind, your body, and your spirit on what matters most. Habits are the scaffolding that supports focus, and once they are in place, your productivity and impact will multiply. When you cut the noise, you begin to live with intention. You understand that your life is shaped by the choices you make, not by the chaos around you. You start prioritizing what truly matters over what is convenient or expected. You stop living by default and start living by design. You start controlling your energy, your time, and your attention rather than letting external forces dictate them. Cutting the noise is not just about eliminating distractions. It is about reclaiming your power, your clarity, and your ability to create the life you desire. The people who achieve extraordinary results are not smarter or luckier. They are focused. They have learned to distinguish between what is urgent and what is important, between what is meaningful and what is trivial, between what elevates them and what diminishes them. Their lives are not perfect, but their focus allows them to navigate challenges with resilience, purpose, and clarity. Their results are the natural outcome of protecting their attention, cutting the noise, and investing in what truly matters. Cutting the noise transforms not only your productivity, but your fulfillment. When you focus only on what matters, you stop wasting energy on things that don't feed your soul. You stop chasing validation that doesn't satisfy. You stop reacting to drama that drains you. You start experiencing life with presence, purpose, and intensity. Your relationships deepen because you are fully there. Your work excels because you give it undivided attention. Your personal growth accelerates because your mind is clear, your energy is abundant, and your intentions are precise. The journey of cutting the noise is ongoing. Every day presents new distractions, new pressures, and new temptations to scatter your attention. But every day also presents a choice, the choice to protect your focus, to guard your energy, and to invest in what truly matters. The more consistently you make that choice, the stronger your focus becomes, the clearer your vision gets, and the greater your impact grows. You are not a victim of distraction. You are the architect of your attention, and by designing your focus carefully, you design your life. When you commit to cutting the noise, you step into a life of clarity, purpose, and extraordinary results. You stop reacting, you start creating. You stop drifting, you start leading. You stop wasting, you start multiplying. The power of focus is magnified when distractions are removed, and the life you dream of is built in the space you create by saying no to everything that doesn't serve your highest vision. Say no more often. Protect your peace and priorities. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve your purpose, you are silently saying no to something that does. Every unnecessary yes costs you energy, time, and clarity. People often say they don't have enough time, but the truth is they've given too much of it away. They say yes to every demand, every request, every distraction, and end up overwhelmed, resentful, and unfulfilled. The ability to say no is not about being cold or selfish. It's about being intentional. It's about recognizing that your life is finite, your energy is sacred, and your priorities matter. Most people struggle with saying no because they fear rejection or judgment. They want to be liked, to fit in, to be seen as kind or cooperative. But every time you agree to something that doesn't align with your purpose, you betray yourself. You dilute your focus and weaken your ability to give your best to what truly matters. Saying no is an act of self-respect. It's an acknowledgement that your goals, your values, and your peace deserve protection. The truth is, no one else will guard your time for you. You have to do it yourself. People will always take as much as you give until you decide to draw the line. Saying no creates space for what's meaningful. When your life is filled with obligations that don't inspire you, there's no room left for creativity, growth, or joy. You have to prune your commitments like a tree. Cut away the unnecessary so the essential can thrive. Every no is a way of clearing the noise, reducing clutter, and creating room for clarity. When you start saying no to what drains you, you begin saying yes to your health, your focus, your purpose, and your peace. You begin to operate from strength rather than exhaustion. You become proactive instead of reactive. Saying no also helps you establish boundaries that preserve your emotional well-being. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They don't keep people out, they keep your energy safe. Without boundaries, you absorb everyone's problems, emotions, and chaos. You carry burdens that aren't yours to bear. But when you set firm boundaries through your ability to say no, you reclaim your emotional balance. You stop apologizing for needing space, for resting, for choosing differently. You stop living to please others and start living to fulfill your potential. Saying no is a discipline that gets easier with practice. The first few times, it feels uncomfortable. You'll second guess yourself, worry about disappointing others, and question if you're doing the right thing. But once you experience the peace that comes from protecting your priorities, the clarity that follows becomes addictive. You begin to realize that every no strengthens your purpose. Every time you turn down something that doesn't align with your vision, you reinforce your commitment to what does. You become unshakable, focused, and grounded in your values. Many people say yes because they confuse being busy with being valuable. They think productivity means constant activity. But true productivity is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. The most successful people are ruthless with their time. They say no to almost everything that doesn't move them closer to their mission. They understand that energy is finite And spreading it thin on meaningless tasks weakens their impact. Their success doesn't come from working harder. It comes from being more selective. They know that saying no to the wrong things is the only way to say yes to the right ones. Learning to say no requires clarity about what you value most. When you know what your priorities are, it becomes easier to filter out what doesn't belong. Without clarity, every opportunity looks tempting. Every request feels urgent. Every distraction feels justified. But when you have a strong sense of direction, you no longer feel guilty for turning things down. You know what deserves your energy and what doesn't. You understand that saying no is not rejection, it's redirection. It's guiding your focus back to what truly deserves it. Saying no is also a way to preserve your mental and emotional energy. Every unnecessary commitment drains your focus and fills your mind with clutter. When you overcommit, you live in a constant state of stress, trying to please everyone while losing connection with yourself. But when you start saying no, you take back control. You regain time to rest, to think, to create, to connect deeply. You start living from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. You realize you don't need to do everything. You just need to do the right things with full presence. Protecting your peace means understanding that not every fight is worth fighting, not every opportunity is worth chasing, and not every opinion is worth responding to. Peace is power. It gives you clarity, strength, and perspective. But peace cannot exist without boundaries, and boundaries cannot exist without the courage to say no. The more you protect your peace, the stronger you become. You stop reacting to every minor irritation and start focusing on what moves you forward. You stop giving energy to negativity, gossip, and drama because they don't deserve your presence. Saying no doesn't make you difficult. It makes you discerning. It means you understand your worth and the value of your energy. It means you are no longer available for things that don't align with your higher purpose. You are no longer chasing validation or approval. You are no longer settling for what's convenient instead of what's right. The world will always try to test your boundaries, but your ability to say no is your shield. It protects your focus, your time, and your emotional stability. When you start saying no more often, people will notice. Some will respect you more. Others may resist because your boundaries will expose their expectations. But over time, you'll attract people who value your clarity, who appreciate your energy, who align with your values. Saying no filters out the noise and invites an alignment. It builds trust because people know that when you say yes, you mean it. It's not forced. It's not half-hearted. It's not out of guilt. It's from a place of intention. Saying no also strengthens your decision-making. It teaches you to pause before committing, to evaluate if something truly fits your priorities. It trains your intuition, sharpens your discernment, and prevents burnout. The more you practice it, the more empowered you become. You stop being pulled in every direction and start moving forward with precision. You start leading your life instead of reacting to it. You begin to live on purpose rather than by default. Protecting your priorities means aligning your actions with your deepest values. It means recognizing that your time and energy are your most valuable currencies. Every time you spend them on something meaningless, you're depleting what could have been invested in something extraordinary. You can't build a life of purpose if your days are consumed by distractions. You can't achieve greatness if you're constantly saying yes to things that pull you away from your vision. Saying no is how you create space for excellence. The habit of saying no is the foundation of a powerful, peaceful, and purposeful life. It's not about withdrawing from the world. It's about engaging with it more consciously. It's about focusing your energy on what truly elevates you and letting go of what doesn't. It's about living with clarity, confidence, and alignment. When you master the art of saying no, you stop being a passenger in your life. You take the wheel, direct your focus, and move with purpose. Every no becomes a declaration of strength, a boundary of peace, and a commitment to the life you're meant to create. Master the few things that move everything forward. Success is not about doing more. It's about mastering the vital few actions that create the biggest impact. Most people waste their potential because they scatter their focus across too many things. They try to do everything, and in doing so, they master nothing. They chase opportunities without strategy, goals without clarity, and results without direction. But the people who truly excel, the ones who build momentum and create massive change, understand that mastery is not found in doing everything. It's found in doing the right things with precision, consistency, and depth. When you master the few things that truly matter, every area of your life begins to shift because those few things act as levers that move everything else. Mastery starts with clarity. You can't master what you don't understand. You have to identify what truly drives your growth, your progress, and your fulfillment. In every business, in every relationship, in every pursuit, there are a handful of core actions that create 80% of the results. This is the principle of focus. Most of your success will come from a small fraction of your efforts. The problem is, most people spend their days on the 80% that only gives them 20% of the return. They are constantly busy but rarely effective. They confuse movement with progress, effort with impact, and speed with success. But when you identify and focus on the few actions that matter most, those that multiply your results, your life begins to accelerate in ways you never imagined. Mastering the few things that move everything forward requires discipline. It's easy to start something new. It's hard to stay with it long enough to achieve excellence. Most people quit before they get good. They get bored, distracted, or discouraged when progress feels slow. But mastery is built in the repetition, in the commitment to improvement, even when it's not glamorous. It's built in the daily practice of showing up when no one is watching. When you choose to go deep instead of wide, you start building skill, confidence, and momentum that compound over time. Small improvements done consistently become unstoppable power. Mastery is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about constant refinement, constant learning, constant evolution. It's the willingness to study, to fail, to adjust, and to grow. It's about focusing on long-term development rather than instant gratification. The world rewards those who are patient enough to go deep because depth creates distinction. Anyone can be average. Mastery takes commitment. When you master the few things that truly matter, you separate yourself from the crowd. You stop competing and you start leading. You move from noise to influence, from confusion to clarity, from potential to performance. You have to know what those few things are for you. What are the actions that truly move your life forward? What habits, when mastered, would transform everything else? For some, it's mastering communication because it impacts relationships, leadership, and business. For others, it's mastering self-discipline because it builds consistency in every goal. Maybe it's mastering your mindset because when your mind is strong, every challenge becomes manageable. Maybe it's mastering your craft because excellence in one area creates opportunities in all others. Whatever those few things are, they hold the keys to your growth. Everything else is a distraction dressed as opportunity. The people who achieve extraordinary results are not superhuman. They're simply focused. They know their priorities and they guard them fiercely. They invest their energy where it matters most. They're not afraid to say no to distractions because they understand that time wasted on the unimportant is time stolen from mastery. They choose depth over variety. They're not chasing 10 goals at once. They're mastering one, and through that mastery, they create leverage for everything else. That's how real growth happens, not by doing more, but by doing what matters better than anyone else. When you master the few things that move everything forward, your decisions become simpler. You stop overthinking because your priorities are clear. You stop second guessing because you know where your focus belongs. You start experiencing flow, that powerful state where effort feels effortless because everything you're doing is aligned with purpose. Mastery creates momentum, and momentum creates results. You stop trying to push your life uphill and start letting your habits and focus carry you forward naturally. Mastery also builds confidence. Every time you improve at something meaningful, you strengthen your belief in your own ability to create change. Confidence doesn't come from pretending. It comes from proof. It comes from knowing that you've earned your skill, your results, your growth. When you dedicate yourself to mastering something, your self-worth rises, your fear lowers, and your vision expands. You begin to realize that greatness is not a gift, it's a practice. It's available to anyone willing to put in the work, but mastery doesn't happen in isolation. It requires consistent evaluation. You have to regularly ask yourself, am I spending time on what truly moves me forward? Or am I getting lost in activity that looks productive but isn't? Am I improving or am I repeating? Am I focused on depth or distracted by variety? The moment you start asking these questions, you bring awareness to how you spend your energy. And that awareness is power. It allows you to realign your focus and redirect your effort toward mastery instead of mediocrity. Mastering the few things that matter also gives you freedom. When you develop skill, systems, and habits that work, they create stability. You no longer have to guess, hustle, or stress constantly. You can rely on your mastery to guide you. Your energy is not wasted reinventing the wheel every day. It's invested in refining what already works. Mastery brings control. It gives you predictability in an unpredictable world. You begin to trust yourself because you know you can deliver. You become dependable, consistent, and powerful in execution. The process of mastery also demands patience and humility. You have to be willing to be a student again, to learn from failure, to face discomfort. Most people want success fast, but mastery is slow. It requires years of refinement. That's why so few people achieve it. But that's also why those who do are unstoppable. While others chase shortcuts, the master builds foundations. While others quit when it gets hard, the master keeps refining. That's the difference between dabbling and dominance. Mastery takes longer, but it lasts longer too. It gives you control over your results and ownership of your success. Every great athlete, artist, or entrepreneur became exceptional because they mastered a few core things. They built depth. They learned the fundamentals so well that they became automatic. They practiced relentlessly until their excellence became second nature. You can do the same in your own life. You can identify the few key levers that, when pulled consistently, will transform everything else. It might be discipline. It might be focus. It might be health. It might be communication. Whatever they are, when you master them, everything else starts falling into place. The paradox of mastery is that by narrowing your focus, your impact expands. When you channel your energy into the few things that matter most, your results multiply. You become more effective, more creative, more fulfilled. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop reacting and start creating. The few things you've mastered become the foundation for everything else you build. Mastery compounds. One skill mastered unlocks another. One success creates the next. One level of growth leads to the next level of freedom. The more you master, the less you struggle because your focus becomes a force that moves everything in your favor. The secret is not to do more, it's to do less better. To simplify your focus, strengthen your skills, and stay consistent. To commit to the long game, where growth comes not from intensity alone, but from persistence, patience, and precision. To dedicate yourself to becoming world-class at what matters most to you. Because once you master the few things that move everything forward, you won't need to chase opportunities. They'll come looking for you. Let go of distractions, comparison, and approval seeking. These three forces silently steal your peace, your confidence, and your potential. They creep into your daily thoughts, convincing you that you're not doing enough, not achieving fast enough, not living up to someone else's standards. But the truth is, you'll never build a powerful life if your attention is constantly being pulled by what everyone else is doing or thinking. You cannot create your best self when you're chasing validation. You cannot grow when your focus is divided between your goals and other people's opinions. Real progress begins when you stop living for approval and start living for alignment. Distractions are the greatest thieves of potential in the modern world. Everywhere you turn, something is demanding your attention. Your phone, notifications, the endless scroll of other people's lives. Every time you get distracted, you lose momentum. Every interruption resets your focus and fragments your energy. You might think a few seconds don't matter, but every distraction weakens your ability to go deep. Focus is like a muscle. The more you let distractions break it, the weaker it becomes. But the moment you start guarding your attention, you begin to regain control over your time and your mind. You start realizing how much energy you've been leaking into things that add no value to your life. When you eliminate distractions, you create space for creativity, strategy, and clarity. You start doing meaningful work instead of constantly reacting to noise. Comparison is another silent poison. It kills joy, confidence, and authenticity. The moment you compare your path to someone else's, you lose connection with your own. You forget how far you've come because you're too busy measuring yourself against a highlight reel. You forget your strengths because you're staring at someone else's progress. But every person's timeline is different, every story unique. You can't compare chapter 3 of your journey to chapter 20 of someone else's. The only person you should compare yourself to is the one you were yesterday. Progress is not about being ahead of others. It's about being better than your past self. When you stop comparing, you free yourself to grow at your own pace, to celebrate your own wins, and to define success on your own terms. The need for approval is one of the strongest chains that hold people back. Deep down, many people live their lives trying to please others, to earn validation, acceptance, and recognition. They make decisions not from purpose, but from fear of judgment. They sacrifice their authenticity to fit into expectations. But no amount of external approval will ever fill the void of internal disconnection. The more you chase validation, the more you lose yourself. The moment you stop seeking approval, you gain freedom. You begin to act from conviction, not compliance. You start doing what feels right, not what looks right. Approval is temporary, but alignment is eternal. When you stop needing to be liked, you start being respected. When you stop performing, you start living. When you stop seeking validation, you start experiencing peace. Letting go of distractions, comparison, and approval seeking is not easy. It requires awareness, discipline, and courage. It means choosing presence over noise, authenticity over performance, progress over perfection. It means being willing to disconnect from what everyone else is doing and reconnect to your own path. You have to become conscious of what steals your energy every day. Notice what drains you, what triggers insecurity, what pulls you away from purpose. Awareness is the first step toward freedom. Once you see it, you can change it. You can begin to design your life in a way that supports focus, peace, and alignment. The power of letting go is that it gives you back control. When you stop being distracted, your productivity doubles. When you stop comparing, your confidence grows. When you stop seeking approval, your authenticity shines. You become lighter, freer, more creative, more driven. You stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter and start investing it in what does. You stop reacting to everything around you and start creating from within. You realize that happiness doesn't come from being admired. It comes from being aligned. Peace doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being present. Success doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from doing what's right for you. Distractions will always exist, but you decide whether they control you. Every time you open your phone, every time you scroll aimlessly, you are giving away moments you can never get back. You have to become ruthless about protecting your focus. Set boundaries for technology. Create time for deep work and disconnect from digital noise. You can't live with purpose if you're constantly plugged into chaos. Every time you silence a distraction, you strengthen your discipline. Every time you choose focus over stimulation, you reclaim your power. You can't build a meaningful life if your attention is constantly fractured. The more you protect your attention, the more unstoppable you become. Comparison thrives in insecurity. The less connected you are to your purpose, the easier it is to look sideways instead of forward. But when you know who you are and where you're going, comparison loses its power. You don't need to compete because you're playing your own game. You don't need to envy because you're inspired. You start cheering for others instead of feeling threatened by them. You start celebrating your growth instead of hiding it. True confidence doesn't come from being the best. It comes from being real. The moment you stop competing with others and start collaborating with yourself, your growth accelerates. You stop chasing validation and start chasing excellence. You stop worrying about where you stand and start focusing on how far you can go. The desire for approval often comes from fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. But approval seeking is a trap that keeps you small. You mold yourself to fit into other people's expectations, and in doing so, you lose the essence of who you are. The truth is, not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will support your decisions. But you don't need their approval, you need your own. When you live in alignment with your values and vision, you no longer need permission to be yourself. You stop explaining, defending, and apologizing for your path. You move with quiet confidence, knowing that the only validation that matters comes from within. Letting go of approval also means learning to embrace solitude. There will be times when walking your own path feels lonely. But loneliness is not a sign that you're lost. It's a sign that you're growing. It's the silence between who you were and who you are becoming. When you stop needing constant reassurance, you start trusting your own voice. You stop outsourcing your confidence and start building it from within. The more you trust yourself, the more grounded you become. The more grounded you become, the less the world's noise can shake you. Approval fades, opinions change, trends come and go, but your truth remains. Letting go is not about escaping the world. It's about mastering your inner world. It's about controlling what you give your energy to. It's about learning to be so centered in who you are that no external chaos can pull you off course. It's about waking up every day and asking, what deserves my attention? What deserves my energy? What deserves my peace? And being brave enough to let go of everything that doesn't align. You don't have to prove your worth. You just have to live it. You don't have to chase love. You just have to embody it. You don't have to earn approval. You just have to give yourself permission to be who you truly are. The moment you stop seeking validation, stop comparing, and stop letting distractions control you, everything starts to shift. Your energy rises. Your focus sharpens. Your confidence strengthens. You begin to move through life with calm certainty, knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. You stop looking outside for confirmation and start finding power inside. You stop trying to impress and start trying to express. You start creating from authenticity instead of insecurity. You start living not to be seen, but to be fulfilled. That's when growth becomes effortless, because you're no longer fighting yourself. You're aligned with yourself. Letting go of distractions, comparison, and approval seeking isn't about cutting off the world. It's about connecting more deeply to yourself. It's about creating a space where your purpose can breathe and your vision can grow. It's about protecting your energy like it's sacred, because it is. Every moment you reclaim from distraction is a moment of clarity. Every thought you release from comparison is a thought of freedom. Every action you take without needing approval is an act of power. The moment you stop looking outward for validation and start looking inward for purpose, you step into your full strength, your true focus, and your highest potential live with clarity. Your energy belongs to your future, not your past. Every time you replay old mistakes, relive old pain, or cling to what could have been, you drain the energy that's meant to build what can be. The past is not a place to live, it's a place to learn. But most people get stuck there, caught in loops of regret and resentment, replaying what went wrong instead of creating what could go right. The truth is, your past cannot define you unless you allow it to. It can only teach you, strengthen you, and prepare you for what's next. Living with clarity means knowing that the only power the past has is the one you give it. It means deciding to stop carrying yesterday's weight into today's opportunity. Clarity is the foundation of focus, peace, and progress. Without clarity, you waste your energy chasing distractions, fighting uncertainty, and second-guessing yourself. When you lack clarity, you say yes to things that don't align with your goals, you pursue paths that don't fulfill you, and you live in reaction instead of intention. But when you get clear on who you are, what you want, and where you're going, everything begins to shift. You start saying no to what drains you and yes to what grows you. You stop seeking direction from others and start trusting your own vision. You stop wandering and start building. Clarity doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from decision. It comes from the courage to stop waiting for certainty and start creating it. Your future needs your energy. It needs your creativity, your discipline, your fire. But most people pour all that energy into reliving the past. They keep replaying conversations that are over, worrying about mistakes they can't undo, and blaming themselves for things that taught them to grow. Every time you think about what went wrong, you're investing in something that cannot pay you back. The past doesn't owe you closure. It owes you wisdom. And that wisdom only becomes power when you use it to move forward. Living with clarity means taking that energy you've been wasting on regret and investing it in your evolution. It's about asking what now instead of why me. It's about turning your pain into perspective, your lessons into leverage, your memories into motivation. You cannot move forward while holding on to what's behind you. Imagine trying to drive with your eyes locked on the rearview mirror. You'll crash, not because you lack potential, but because you're focused on the wrong direction. The same is true in life. If your attention is fixed on what didn't work, who hurt you, or what you lost, you'll never see what's ahead. The energy that could be creating your next chapter is trapped in the pages of the last one. To live with clarity, you have to release the emotional weight of your history. Forgive yourself for the things you didn't know. Forgive others for what they couldn't give, not for them, but for your peace, for your power, for your future. Forgiveness is not weakness, it's focus. It's redirecting your energy from resentment to renewal. Clarity also means knowing what truly matters to you, not what looks good, not what others expect, but what aligns with your soul. It's easy to chase success that isn't even yours. It's easy to get lost in the noise of what society tells you should make you happy. But success without clarity is just noise in disguise. You can have everything and still feel empty if it's not what you truly want. So take a step back and ask yourself, what do I really value? What do I want to feel every day? What kind of life would make me proud? When you answer those questions honestly, you begin to see where your energy needs to go. You stop chasing approval and start chasing purpose. You stop being busy and start being intentional. Living with clarity doesn't mean having all the answers. It means knowing what questions matter most. It means knowing your direction even when the destination isn't clear. It means trusting that every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. It's the discipline to stay focused on what's essential and let go of what's trivial. Most people lose clarity because they're trying to do too much. They're pulled in 1,000 directions, reacting to everything instead of creating something. Clarity simplifies. It helps you cut away the excess and focus on the essentials. It reminds you that you don't need to do everything. You just need to do what matters most, consistently and courageously. Your energy is your greatest asset. It's the fuel that powers your purpose, your passion, and your potential. But if you keep spending it on things that don't serve your future, you'll never have enough to build it. Every thought you entertain, every conversation you engage in, every emotion you dwell on, it all consumes energy. So be intentional. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me move forward or holding me back? Is this emotion giving me strength or stealing it? Is this choice aligned with my vision or distracting me from it? The more intentional you become, the clearer your path gets. You stop scattering your energy across things that don't matter and start channeling it into the things that do. Clarity gives you peace. When you know your direction, you stop feeling overwhelmed. You stop doubting yourself every time life gets difficult because you understand what you're building toward. Challenges don't confuse you, they refine you. You start seeing setbacks as part of the process, not proof of failure. You start using pain as feedback, not as an anchor. That's the power of living with clarity. It gives meaning to your struggles and direction to your growth. You stop fighting life and start flowing with it. You begin to realize that every obstacle is guiding you toward your purpose, not away from it. When you live with clarity, you stop chasing distractions disguised as opportunities. Not every door that opens is meant for you. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every fight is worth your energy. Clarity helps you filter noise from truth. It helps you see through temptation, resistance, and fear. It gives you the strength to say no to what looks good so you can say yes to what feels right. And in a world full of noise, that's a superpower. Clarity gives you the calm to pause before reacting, the wisdom to choose before committing, and the courage to walk away before you lose yourself. The more clarity you have, the less you need to prove. You stop explaining your path to people who can't see your vision. You stop defending your dreams to those who've stopped dreaming. You stop needing permission to move forward because you know what's right for you. Clarity doesn't seek validation. It creates conviction. And that conviction becomes your compass. It guides your actions, your decisions, and your relationships. It helps you move through uncertainty with confidence because you're anchored in who you are and where you're going. The past will always whisper. It will try to remind you of what went wrong, of what you lost, of what you should have done differently. But clarity silences that noise. It says, that was then, this is now. It teaches you to use your past as data, not destiny. It allows you to look back with gratitude, not guilt. You stop resenting your past and start respecting it for the role it played in your evolution. You realize that every mistake, every heartbreak, every detour was preparing you for the clarity you have now. That's how you reclaim your power. You take back the energy that was trapped in old stories and pour it into new beginnings. And living with clarity is an act of power. It's refusing to let confusion dictate your destiny. It's making the conscious choice to focus your energy where it can grow. It's waking up each day with a sense of direction and refusing to let yesterday's noise define today's potential. When you live with clarity, your mind becomes calm, your actions become deliberate, and your energy becomes unstoppable. You no longer move through life by chance, you move by choice. You no longer react to circumstances, you create them. You no longer waste energy on the past, you invest it in the future. And that's where transformation begins.